Hello and welcome to Nationwide on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. I'm Lami Ali. This program is being live streamed on nta.ng/live and other online platforms of the NTA. We begin from the State House, where President Bola Tinubu has announced the appointment of his Chief of Staff and the new Secretary to the government of the Federation. President Tinubu made the announcement first to the APC governors who visited him at the State House, Abuja.
I'm going to appoint Femi Gbajabiamila as the Chief of Staff. And I'm going to announce George Akume as SGF.
Senator Ibrahim Hassan Haddeja, a former deputy governor of Jigawa State, is the new deputy chief of staff. Now, President Bola Tinubu is currently meeting with APC governors at the State House in Abuja. This is the first formal meeting between the president and members of the Progressives Governors Forum. More details of the indoor meeting will come your way subsequently. Now, President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, has finally dispelled rumors that he has indicated interest to run again for the position in the 10th Assembly. Senator Lawan told correspondents at the State House, Abuja, that his major concern now is mentorship of the new national lawmakers and ensuring that right personalities emerge as leaders of the next Assembly.
But the truth is, I've never indicated an interest to run. But I have a responsibility to the Senate, to the National Assembly, having been in the National Assembly for almost 24 years now. And when we have about 70% of our members of the National Assembly, especially in the Senate, who are new, those of us that have been there longer, owe everybody that responsibility to at least help in mentoring those who are new, even if we have no presiding officer or principal officer position. And I don't really wish to be one. I've played my part, and I'm happy that we have played our part. We have made our impact, very positive impact. Of course, we had our shortcomings, but I can hold my head high on behalf of all my colleagues in the Senate and indeed in the National Assembly, that this National Assembly has helped in national development in no means major, because we have succeeded in getting very critical and crucial legislations passed and assented to by the former president.
The All Progressives Congress support groups have pledged to remain active as agents and ambassadors of the current administration. The groups, during their post-inauguration engagement, said Nigeria is again in safe hands for more prosperity. Salihu Gwanara brings us the details.
The successful inauguration of Bola Tinubu as the 16th president of Nigeria is a dream come true to many people, particularly those that gave him the mandate through the ballot. But beyond the celebrations, the supporters of APC, both at home and in the diaspora, agreed that the policy statements of the administration from takeoff are in order.
That Mr. President is giving his full backing to the complete removal of fuel subsidy, and we totally support his stance as a movement. While Nigeria will express short-term pain, we believe that the long-term benefits are too juicy for us to ignore.
We have supported Ashwani Bola Tinubu 2023, but it doesn't actually stop there. We have more. Yes, it's very difficult to win. It was a tough battle, but we won that election. Now, we're going to have to redouble efforts to ensure that he succeeds as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
This is going to be a new Nigeria. The Nigeria we've been looking for, hoping for. I think the time is now.
As progressive agents of the renewed hope agenda, they pledged to remain active in lubricating the wheel towards a smooth democratic journey. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Now, following the sudden situation where petroleum products marketers resorted to hoarding, inducing scarcity and hike in the price of PMS, the Cross River State Governor, Senator Basiotu, has inaugurated an 11-man task force with a mandate to monitor activities of fuel stations and restore normalcy. This was at the Dan Achibong Governor's Lodge in Calabar. Paul Abel completes the reports.
In the past 2 days, it has been a difficult task to get fuel as many stations are either not dispensing or sell above approved pump price. It is against this backdrop that Cross River State Governor is charging this newly inaugurated task force to ensure they carry out their mandate without fear of favor and seal up stations selling at arbitrary pump prices.
It is very harsh and not good at all for our dealers to then immediately lift up the prices of this product, because this is going to bring a lot of hardship to our people, both in terms of mobility, moving from one point to the other, and then even moving foodstuffs. We want you to do your job without any fear or favor. Don't fail to seal up any station that does arbitrary or brings arbitrariness in terms of pricing.
The mandate is clear and the message is clear to the marketers. The marketers, to maintain status quo, they should not increase the price, they should not hoard petroleum product. At the same time, they should not divert. The mandate extends as clearing the trucks off the road.
The task force, the governor maintained, is expected to stabilize the marketing of petroleum products in line with the approved pump price. In Calabar, Paul Abel, NTA News.
The General Assembly of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, IPAC, is urging the federal government to engage stakeholders on the rationale behind the removal of subsidy and to put in place palliative measures to cushion the effect on citizens. This was part of the deliberations at the General Assembly of the Council in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf reports.
There are representatives of the 18 registered political parties in Nigeria as a partner in progress. IPAC, in its last General Assembly of May 17, 2023, approved the constitution of a technical committee to set an agenda for the Bola Ahmed Tinubu administration in order to assist in managing some challenges confronting the nation. IPAC Chairman Yabagi Sani explained that the council will make public its robust agenda for the new administration. On the issue of subsidy, government is advised to set up a forensic inquiry on the subsidy regime to unravel the secrecy and obvious perception of large-scale corruption in the sector, Yabagi emphasized.
In this scenario, the removal of subsidy in a product as central as petrol will no doubt increase the cost of goods and services and further worsen the living conditions of Nigerians. Government should also address the issue of oil theft, metering of the sector infrastructure, while pursuing fiscal policy measures to progressively manage the economic interventions.
Council called for the understanding of Nigerians while government intensifies efforts towards putting in place requisite palliative measures to cushion the effects of the new subsidy regime. IPAC also observed a minute silence in honor of the deceased founder of Dar Communications, Raymond Dupesi, with prayer for the repose of his soul. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
The removal of petroleum subsidy by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is bringing into effect one of the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act and translating to total deregulation of the downstream subsector. The Group Chief Executive Officer, NNPC Limited, Mele Kolokari, who made this assertion on NTA News, also noted that market dynamics will continue to unveil the benefits of the deregulation. Lydia Sampson brings us the experts.
With petroleum subsidy first projected to end in February 2022 and then extended to mid-2023, the NNPC Limited had continued subsidizing every litre at the rate of 250 naira, accumulating to 400 billion in a month.
The subsidy costs this country average of 400 billion naira every month in the current dispensation of pricing. That means that, every litre you buy is subsidized by at least 250 to 300 naira on every liter. This is clearly unsustainable, and because it is unsustainable, we have gotten to a point today where we cannot just afford it anymore.
A situation Mele Kyari says was clearly unsustainable.
Once this subsidy regime becomes established, others are able to bring in petroleum product into the country. By law, we cannot actually continue to be the sole importer of petroleum product, because you are only limited by the anti-competition law to 30% of every market that you do. So you don't create any monopoly. And naturally, NNPC will exit this space, and it will continue to be a supplier of rice. So yes, we agree by law, I will do this, but you see more players in the market.
He reiterates that the NNPC Limited is a private company expected to declare dividends to its teeming shareholders and can't continue to give what it doesn't have. He says though petroleum is seen as an international product, demand and supply dynamics will eventually play out as market forces continue to ensure competition, efficiency and stability across the value chains. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
And away from the subsidy removal, Nigeria's diversity and fault lines should not be weaponized for political gratification, but managed to engender growth and national development. Guests on Good Morning Nigeria who gave this position urged politicians to rise above partisan politics to become statesmen and women who think of the next generation rather than the next election. Again, Leader Samson brings us the story.
In social life, Nigerians across various strata of society relate peacefully irrespective of their political leanings, ethnicity and religious views. Ironically, fault lines are often amplified during elections, leading to division and post-election trauma. Guest on Good Morning Nigeria notes that harnessing the olive branch extended by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a first step towards healing and reconciliation from post-election trauma.
I think when you have an election that produced a fairly acceptable leader, there is not going to be much, bitterness, opposition, or grievances, because as you could see now, people are already engaged in what is this government bringing to us.
A nation cannot heal except it begins to believe in truth. And like one of our former leaders from northern Nigeria say, truth is an open wound. Only conscience can heal. When we say, let's get over it without telling ourselves the truth, we aren't going to heal.
They acknowledge that upholding the rule of law as enshrined in the Constitution and propagation of messages of unity will help in the healing of aggrieved Nigerians post-election. They advocated all-inclusive engagements between winners and losers of the last general elections for a seamless governance by the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Unless you make all Nigerians feel that they belong, all of them, reintegrate them, integrate them. And of course, attitude here also is crucial. Your attitude, they say, determines your altitude. If you have a very negative attitude, no matter what, you cannot be integrated. Most things, they begin with the mind.
Where a lot of youth, especially across the social media spectrum, believed that it is only the manner in which the candidates that they voted for that were going to emerge victorious. The Nigerian state, to properly groom its young people to have, a decent and honest understanding of what character Nigeria is.
In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
It's now time to join Adeola in our Lagos Network Center for more reports on Nationwide. It's over to you, Deola.
With the implementation of the new pump price of petrol, long queues of vehicles and filling stations in Lagos are gradually disappearing as more filling stations are dispensing the commodity to customers. Amaka Owo reports that some Nigerians are appealing for palliative measures to cushion the effect of the subsidy removal.
Immediately the removal of subsidy on petrol was announced, it became a Herculean task getting petrol, with some filling stations allegedly indulging in sharp practices. The situation is however different now, with the hitherto long queues gradually easing out. NNPC filling stations selling petrol at 488 naira, which is the list price, are the only filling stations with minimal queues. around the Ikoyi axis. Some motorists say while removal of subsidy is long overdue, government should tackle inflation to mitigate the impact on Nigerians.
We thank God that we are seeing the fuel to buy now.
And the key will disappear soon now. Because we say I just bought my own for my motor now.
We just hope for the best for Nigeria.
Negotiations expect the queues to finally disappear in the days ahead. In Lagos, Amaka O, NTA News.
It is safe to say that Nigeria has moved from childhood to adulthood in its democratic journey, and Nigerian women have been considered worthy allies to their male counterparts in this right to nationhood. Kehinde Adebisi in this report examines how well women have fared in the last 24 years of democratic rule and what lies ahead for the female gender in this new dispensation.
Although the nation has not been able to achieve the extant national gender policy, recommending 35% affirmative action, which seeks for a more inclusive representation of women with at least 35% of both elective political and appointive public service positions. Concerted efforts have been made by government and non-governmental organizations to increase the level of participation of women in politics. One of such is the recent attempt by the Senate to reconsider the Gender Equitable and Opportunities Bill, which did not make it to the state assemblies during the constitution alternative bills.
The bill seeks to address several forms of issues bedeviling men and women in their constituencies, in issues of land ownership, inheritance, education, employment, and rising tide of sexual gender-based violence.
Women are becoming more aware, and they know that for the society to be developed, they need the both gender to come into round table in order for them to take decision for the well-being of the society.
And for the incoming 10th Assembly, 378 ran for various positions in both chambers, but only 17 were successful, putting it at 3.62%. This figure is of concern to Nigerian women who anticipate that more political positions will be given to women. In the last election, the APC presented the second female governorship candidate in the history of Nigeria, Aishatu Daliru Ahmed Bilani. This, for Nigerian women, was a renewed determination that it is possible to excel in politics.
Even if you are not contesting elections, participate. It's our destiny. Why do you allow people that are not even up to you in anything to control your destiny? So women, professional women, you must get involved. It's tough, but hey, everything is tough.
I always had this thing in me that I must, at every point in time, be able to contribute to my immediate environment, wherever I am, wherever I find myself.
It is a new dawn, and in a matter of days, political appointment will be made. What is the hope of Nigerian women in this new administration?
I'd love to see not just the political will, but the action that backs this will to actually pass the gender bills into law and make sure that we have more female ministers, more female commissioners at state levels. You know, just give women, there are a lot of women who can do these jobs.
Despite the few number of women in politics, some notable ones like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Dora Akunyili, Zainab Ahmed, Amina Mohammed, and of course the wife of the president, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, have made a name for themselves in Nigeria's political space. These Amazons have paved way for other women to follow. In Lagos, Kehinde Adebisi, NTA News.
And that's it from Lagos. Nationwide will continue after this break in Makodi with Fatima Hassan. But do not forget that you can still follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on
to Makodi. The Benue State Governor, Reverend Hyacinth Alia, says his administration is poised in addressing critical sectors of the economy in line with his vision of resetting the Benue agenda. Governor Alia stressed this while swearing in key appointees to kickstart the running of his administration. Elias Itiav has more.
The appointees inaugurated in the first set are
Professor Joseph Alakali as the Secretary to the State Government, Dr. Moses Ogbowode as head of the Civil Service, while Paul Biam is to serve as Chief of Staff to the Governor. Governor Hyset earlier, while inaugurating what he described as key appointments, says their choice is anchored on credible qualities that will form the foundation of resetting an agenda that will move the state forward.
Let me emphasize that we need not just good hands on deck, but those hands that the spoils of office cannot corrupt. Our charge to them, therefore, is that as key officials of this new administration, they must be exemplary in their public and private life.
Chief of Staff to the Governor, Paul Biam, who responded on behalf of the appointees, pledged their total loyalty in the discharge of their mandate. More appointments, according to the Governor, are being awaited. In Makudi, Elias, ATR, NTA News.
For effective implementation of the Child's Right Law, experts on child development say all key players must be carried along an extensive enlightenment embarked upon to educate parents and guardians of children on their role. These were the views of the State Child's Rights Implementation Committee at a meeting in Makudi. Ekemerem Kaneng Ladoja has details.
The Benue child is currently faced with challenges of sexual and gender-based abuse, farmer herders clashes, and natural disasters, which has placed most in internally displaced person IDP camps and homes, which have made these children vulnerable and exposed to child marriages, child prostitution, and other vices. The committee, which has members drawn from the law enforcement agencies, media, religious bodies, educational sector, humanitarian and non-governmental organizations, and Ministry of Women Affairs, were brought together to deliberate on how best to go about implementing the Benue Child's Right Law, which was passed in 2008.
If we don't arise a situation that is going on now, it will not be easy for us and for the state.
Every law that relates to the rights of children in Benue State, this committee is charged with the responsibility of ensuring that it is properly implemented.
Getting child rights desk officers in public schools, improved budgetary allocation for investigating and prosecuting sexual and gender-based abuse cases, improved enlightenment of key players, and advocacy visits were suggested as ways to address some of the challenges in implementation of the law. It was concluded that informed advocacy visits will be embarked upon alongside other action plans. In Makudi, Ekemeren Kaneng-Ladoja, NTA News.
And that's it from Makudi. Nationwide continues with Lami in Abuja.
Thank you so much, Fati. Now, President Bola Tinubu today attended his first congregational Jumat prayer as president. The president arrived at the Ansaruddin Mosque, Abuja, to the welcoming hands of the officials. Musbah Ul-Muhab reports that it was an opportunity for soul purification ahead of his leadership task. Chief Imam Musa Olaofe thanked God on behalf of the president and admonished the new leader to do justice as he carries on with his new assignments, including appointments of people into various positions. There was a special prayer for the success of the administration of President Tinubu.
May Allah continue to be there for our presidents, the vice president, and all other officers that have been appointed to work with you. Allah will make them easy for everyone. Allah will assist this one. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allah نور السماوات والأرض مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح في زجاجة زجاجة.
David is holy Quran. May Allah be your guide. Allah be guiding you. May He be with you to conquer your enemies.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal has assured the security forces of his readiness to give them all the desired support and encouragement for the success of their concerted efforts to secure the state. The governor stated this during a maiden meeting with heads of security agencies operating in the state. Jamilu Ibrahim brings us the story.
Security tops the list of priorities identified by Zamfara State Governor Dr. Dauda Lawal in his inaugural speech. The governor has since hit the ground running as he convened an emergency meeting with heads of security agencies operating in the state. The meeting, conducted behind closed doors, lasted for hours.
We are ready to give them the maximum cooperation for them to function effectively and do the best in terms of bringing security in Zamfara by the grace of Allah.
All of us feel challenged. His Excellency also feels challenged, and we're picking the gauntlet. And in no time, you see the result.
Meanwhile, Zamfara State Governor Dr. Dauda Lawal has identified upholding the rule of law as necessary for good governance. He stated this at a meeting with the State Chief Judge, Justice Kulu Aliyu, the Grand Qadi Dahiru Muhammad Gusau, and the Permanent Secretary, State Minister of Justice, Musa Garba Bukuyum. He said to this end, his administration will ensure autonomy of the state judiciary.
No matter what we want to do in terms of fighting corruption and so on and so forth, if there is no rule of law, it will not work.
Your Excellency, with your determination and zeal, I believe the judiciary of this state will be independent. And on our part, Your Excellency, let me assure you, we are ready to work with you.
The governor plans to have similar engagement with some other critical stakeholders in due course. In Gusau, Jamilu Ibrahim, NTA News.
Now, 2 weeks training on enhancing civil-military relations and counter-violent extremism and anti-piracy protection of civilian project has ended with a commitment to observing rules of engagement during conflicts. The training, which was organized by the government of China for military and paramilitary personnel, is strategic in meeting the sustainable development goals.
The priority of governments and their militaries and other security agencies, therefore, must shift from the traditional objective of capturing and holding territories and enforcing peace to the protection of civilians during armed conflicts.
It's not only to educate effectively, but also to foster trust and bring neighboring countries closer in their coordination effort. The training that they have received here will help to improve security in Africa.
It has recorded today, so I want to appreciate the Japanese government and its people for their contribution towards humanity through this laudable program.
We reduce civilian casualties in wartime, promote civil-military relations, improve professionalism, as well as build trust and confidence in peace support operation missions.
Participants were urged to ensure that they put the knowledge acquired to practice for sustainable peace-building mechanism across troubled borders and communities in the country. Chairman of the Police Service Commission, Solomon Arase, says he is building a new police force that will once again be attractive to the Nigerian youth. In a statement, Solomon Arase notes that in less than 2 months, the PSC has succeeded in creating a cordial working relationship between the Commission and the Nigeria Police Force, where both parties now work not to compete, but to complement each other with clearly defined responsibilities. The PSC chairman says he has been engaging international donor agencies and other stakeholders in the police sector to assist build the capacity of the Commission as an oversight body and that of the police as the lead agency in internal security. He also applauds the leadership of the force for the massive promotions of the junior police officers who have in recent times suffered stagnation. To keep young people off the streets, help them acquire skills and become self-reliant are part of reasons for the partnership between the National Orientation Agency and the National Identity Management Agency, NIMC. Kenneth Nanim reports that the agency is leveraging the Sustainable Development Goals initiative to thrive.
Arguably, the young people constitute a greater percentage of the unemployed or underemployed of Nigeria's population. With this in mind, the National Orientation Agency is collaborating with NNPC to bridge the gap, and the Nigerian Youth Volunteer is at the forefront.
We have seen that volunteerism is a development tool that we can use to create, apart from positive engagement, to create opportunities for young people, to either build skills, build confidence, self-esteem, and all of those social skills that help them to grow as individuals.
With NNPC having about 15,000 registration points across the nation, it becomes imperative, therefore, that staff of the National Orientation Agency spread across the 774 local government areas of the country are impacted with the requisite knowledge in order to facilitate training and capacity building of young Nigerians in the areas of digital biometrics capturing and data registration.
The idea is to get as many as about 10,000, for example, per local government, 1,000 times 15,000, and that gives you about 150,000 young men who are already trained.
The initiative is also in line with the Sustainable Development Goals targets. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
Now, Nigeria and Zimbabwe are exploring ways of harnessing cultural diversity towards the promotion of peace and unity in the continent. This was made known when the Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture, Olusegun Rushewe, received the delegation of Zimbabwe National Defense University in Abuja. Oyinaya Kaloka reports.
Nigeria and Zimbabwe bilateral relation dates back to the 80s, where both countries interact in the areas of politics, economics, culture, and security. Participants from the Zimbabwean National Defense University at the cultural headquarters in Abuja were received by the Director General, National Council for Arts and Culture, Olusegun Rushewe.
We are understanding each other better, reduce unnecessary bullying, unnecessary attack, unnecessary fighting. So we have used tactically and strategically, use culture to tell our people that security is key to us.
Leader of the delegation, Brigadier General Dante Daratwe, said the visit is fruitful as it will strengthen the relationship between both countries in promoting peace and unity through the use of culture.
Compare notes, look at the socio-economic, political and economic environment with a view to actually improve our own back home. It's part of the study.
Nigeria and Zimbabwe share a lot in common in cultural diversity. Oyinaya Kaloka, NTA News.
We join Comfort in Enugu for stories from that end. Hello, Comfort, it's over to you.
Good afternoon and welcome to Enugu. Enugu State Governor Peter Mba has declared an end to the sit-at-home order in the state. Chika Ugu reports that this was one of the decisions reached at the end of a Security Council meeting.
Known for their entrepreneurial and creativity prowess, the Igbos have always exhibited a spirit of industry which abhors laxity and indolence. However, the idea behind sitting at home every Monday, the first working day of the week, diminishes the spirit of entrepreneurship in the Igbos. This informed Governor Peter Mba's decision at a meeting held behind closed doors with security chiefs, declaring an end to the sit-at-home order in Enugu State. He expressed the state government's readiness to engage in dialogue with people who have grievances towards bringing lasting peace and security to the state.
For us to transit from a public service economy into a private sector driven one, we must free our markets from the shackles of restriction to commerce. Those who strike on Mondays, putting restrictions in the way of our Igbo spirit of creativity, cannot be our true representatives. From Monday, June 5, 2023, there will be no observance of any sit at home in all the nooks and crannies of Enugu State. Government will enforce with all the powers at its disposal this order.
The governor called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to work towards the release of Nnamdi Kanu to expedite the healing process Nigeria needs, which will also signify his administration's extension of brotherly hand of fellowship to the Igbos. In Enugu, Chika Ubu, NTA News.
Recognizing the indispensable link between patriotism and national development, President Bola Tinubu in his inaugural speech enjoined Nigerians to join hands in building a more progressive nation. Susan Eze reports that residents from across the zone are in agreement that national growth and development requires a collective effort of all citizens.
It was a clarion call by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu when he, in ending his inaugural speech, invited all citizens to join him in making Nigeria a more perfect nation and democracy, such that the Nigerian ideal becomes and forever remains the Nigerian reality. With recourse to the President's call, analysts stress on the power of patriotism as the adhesive that binds a diverse nation like Nigeria together.
So every individual should develop one's capacity, one's ability, think outside the box so that collectively we can make Nigeria better.
To achieve the desired development, Nigerians, they advise, must show strong commitment to national peace and harmony.
If you want to have a good leader, you must be a good follower. And how you should follow is to constructively criticize, call out government where necessary, with the expectation that the leaders will actually understand the dynamics of the demands of the people and tag along.
With the new political dispensation in place, observers say it is a golden opportunity for a national rebirth. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
And that's a contribution from here, but remember you can follow this news broadcast live on our website at www.nta.ng/live and all our social media handle displayed on your screen for updates.
For staying with us nationwide, and this is Maiduguri Network Center. Let's move on. Following his inauguration for the second term in office, Borno State Governor Babagana Umar Zulum has hit the ground running by performing groundbreaking for construction of a mega-sized secondary school sited in Gamboru Ward of Maiduguri Metropolitan Council. When it eventually comes into fruition, the project will be the 25th mega school built by the Zulum administration since taking off on the 29th May 2019. Mohammed Guni will now bring us more details.
Transforming the education sector for the provision of quality and functional education to the younger generation is part of the 10-fact transformation agenda of Zulum's administration, which informs the construction of 24 mega schools sited across the state, with some of them dedicated to technical education. The administration also rehabilitated over 108 existing primary and secondary schools across the state, with about 1,000 classrooms built in the last 4 years. The groundbreaking ceremony at Gamboru Ward was for construction of 25th mega school consisting of 30 classrooms to accommodate 900 students during school session. Governor Zulum explained that the school is to provide immediate enrollment access to children hitherto walking long distances to attend secondary schools and urge residents to ensure maximum utilization of the project when completed. The governor further said that with government's plan to introduce afternoon school system, the new mega school can accommodate 60 students per class during morning and afternoon sessions, leading to 1,800 students for the combined session daily. Professor Babagana Umar Zulum had made wide range of policy pronouncements on education in his second-term inaugural speech that include commencement of afternoon primary and secondary school session to address problems of congestion and increase enrollment of out-of-school children, as well as recruitment of 5,000 teachers, among others. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
Away from that, now to tell you that subsidy removal and recent hike in petrol prices has continued to be an issue of concern to residents of Maiduguri, the Borno state capital, with many hoping that the measure will bring positive change in the quest for accelerated development in all spheres of human endeavors. Murjanatu Hassan sought the reaction of people on inevitable decision that has taken precedence over most national discourse.
Subsidy removal has become an issue of concern for the past 2 days, with many describing it as a welcome development for positive change, but have reservations over the timing.
The current president should please put in place a lot of policies to checkmate the crop practices that will at least make sure what the revenues generated from the removal of the subsidy has impacted directly on the lives of the common man.
The right thing to do, remove this subsidy, because this issue of subsidy has been lingering in this country for too long.
This fuel subsidy, we hope it is a better decision by the government.
On the other hand, citizens opposed to the policy are concerned about the economic recession already facing citizens in Borno due to over a decade insurgency.
As a new government, we are expecting that he should take time, enter his office, consult various stakeholders in the industry.
What started with closure of petrol filling stations, hoarding and long queues have gradually eased, with price of petrol per litre ranging between 550 to 600 naira.
Though no queue in most of the filling stations these states, and this may not be unconnected with the subsidy removal, forcing many motorists to abandon their vehicles to adjust to the reality on ground.
Citizens are of the hope that the removal of fuel subsidy, which has been lingering for years, the ordinary Nigerians will accept it with good faith and pray that government will meet up to their high expectations. In Maiduguri, Murjanatu Hassan, NTA News.
Thank you, Murjanatu. And those are the latest stories at this time from Maiduguri. Lami in Abuja has more reports for us this evening. So, Lami.
Thank you so much, Abubakar. Researchers and policymakers must continually leverage the Nigerian population to bring the desired development. This is the focus of the 41st inaugural lecture of the University of Abuja on the paradox of population growth in national development. The lecture underpinned the huge resources that Nigeria has on account of her population, which must not be told with.
The universities constantly must continue to do research, to mobilize community, to help community to grow, to bring newness to the life of people because of the research that we do. If you work in your maximum, each person should be able to produce food and whatever is the production for 3 people or 4 mouths. That means population is a blessing.
People are resources and creators and managers of wealth, especially when developed through education, training, and knowledge transfer, and when the population is healthy. If properly developed and kept healthy, the population in the longer run will result in demographic dividend as the expansive young population become productive adults.
The lecture noted that with good policies and implementation, Nigeria's population growth can be a blessing to the country. A new book has been launched titled Landmines, authored by Victoria Oko. It seeks to address the challenges and obstacles politicians face in the country's political climate. Abdul Malik Hassan reports.
Landmines covers topics such as the importance of conscious representation of women in politics, the influence of religion and ethnicity on the political landscape, and the perceived lack of rule of law and accountability in Nigerian politics.
The book threw much light on this. And so, the book, The Landmines, reveals certain things. 1, political bottlenecks politicians are facing. 2, it awakens the consciousness of political quagmire. And 3, citizens' political participation.
With its 7 chapters, Landmines aims to shape the political landscape in Nigeria and encourage politicians to prioritize good governance, says the author, Victoria Uko.
Personal experience and research in the political space, especially the Nigerian political space. I've been able to come up with these contents, the landmines, the bottlenecks, the political quagmire that politicians, especially the upcoming politicians, go through, which they have to be conscious of it so that they will take the win at the pool.
Landmines is expected to serve as a value resource for anyone seeking to effect positive change in the country's governance and inspire action towards building a more equitable and just society. Abdulmalik Hassan, NTA News.
Nigeria and other nations under the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations are marking this year's World Milk Day. Musa Baba Ali reports on that investigation has shown that importation of milk and other dairy products remain a major challenge in Nigeria.
Demand for milk and dairy products have continued to increase globally, with milk consumption hitting above 900 million tons annually. But for other countries, the consumption per capita remains low, while India remains the world's largest consumer. The challenge in Nigeria, as investigated by NTA, is low production from cows due to breeding methods.
Imagine the cow, the Fulani area, moving from here from one place, they cannot give you 1 liter. If you have a Frisian cow that can give you 20 liters a day, you are okay, just 1, not 2. And each 1 liter go to the 550 naira per liter.
The Central Bank of Nigeria says the country is losing over 1 billion naira daily on the importation of milk and other dairy products.
Now, this year's World Milk Day, like every other year, is focusing on how can we bridge this gap, taking into cognizance our environment, livelihoods, and nutrition.
To address this, therefore, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture has designed a program that will enhance animal production for milk and beef.
Capacity building and empowerment programs for dairy farmers on hygienic milk production and processing, construction and equipping of milk collection centers in areas with comparative advantage for dairy, feed milling facilities for production of ruminant feeds, pasture collection centers, animal handling centers, cattle feed lots, climate smart poultry and goat houses, among others.
Financing a competitive dairy industry.
And this symposium is put together to create awareness and at the same time emphasize the importance of milk to good and healthy diet. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.